Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It's Instant Movie Reviews with Raina and Drew.
I'm Raina.
And I'm Drew. We are two best friends for 20 years who love going to the movies together, if you're new to our channel. And we are seeing another Thursday night preview screening. What are we going to see today?
We're going to see this new monkey horror. It's called Primate. And the trailer is like not giving away much. All we know is this family, for whatever reason, has adopted an ape and it's been in their family, and something happens with the ape and he goes crazy.
Yeah, it's like a Cujo kind of thing.
Yeah, so like, kind of like a trope that's been done many times before. However, what made me sort of interested in this is they really seem to have notched up like the anticipation, the thriller aspect of it, this kind of stress you feel watching it.
Well, when I saw the trailer, the first thing I thought was, this is my favorite part of Jordan Peele's Nope expanded into a full length. So for those who have seen Nope, there's this sort of side plot of this television actor monkey who's part of this children's television show who goes ballistic and goes on a rampage. I can't even quite remember how that links into the rest of Nope. I found Nope to be kind of a disjointed movie compared to his other ones.
Like it was meant to parallel some things, and there was a woman in the audience who had been like attacked by the ape, and they based her off a real character, a real person, her character. One thing that I did see is I saw a making of, which came out before, so this is a preview of the movie, so this isn't like a spoiler, like it came out before all this, part of the promotion materials. One of the characters is an actor from the TV show on Apple TV that I really love called Foundation, and he's deaf, and in the promotional video, he's actually doing sign language to explain like why it was important to ratchet up the horror by putting things in his perspective. He's
an Oscar nominee too, isn't he? It's like, how did they get an Oscar nominee for this schlocky little horror movie?
I'm afraid I don't remember his name, because he's one of these people that I only recently discovered, and then I've gone down the rabbit hole looking at all the other things he's done. I love everything he does.
Yeah,
he's
and
really
apparently his deafness plays a role in the movie as well. It sort of reminds me, did you see Mike Flanagan's Hush?
Yes.
About the deaf woman who's attacked by the masked killer. And I thought that was a brilliant angle for a home invasion movie. And this is getting really good reviews so far. They're saying it basically doesn't really have a story, but if you're looking for something that is tense and scary and well made. Unfortunately, the first death in the movie has been spoiled for me by a review I read.
It hasn't been spoiled for me.
And I'm just like, why would you put details of the very first death of the movie in a review days before it comes out? So this is going to be a spoiler-free review. We're going to go in and get our popcorn. When we come back, we will keep the details to a minimum. We're not looking to ruin anyone's experience here. And we will let you know what we think about Primate.
On that note, I do want to apologize. We had a viewer call me out in their Songs on Blue.
Yeah.
So that was a tricky one for me to describe, because it is based on a very well-known true story. The documentary has been out for a decade. The people from that area are very invested in that story. They all know it. And just Googling the movie before it even came out spoils it, because these people, it would be like if I told you Michael Jackson dies before you see the Michael Jackson movie. Like everybody knows Michael Jackson dies, right? So I apologize if some folks felt I spoiled that. I'll try to be more cognizant of that in the future. It was just a tiptoey line.
When it's a true story too, it feels less spoilable. But anyway, we will do better in the future. So
I won't spoil Primate for you. I promise. We put that no spoiler tag on for a reason. That's part of our shtick.
We'll tell you who dies in what order and exactly how. No, just kidding. So yeah, we're gonna go in and get our popcorn. We're gonna hopefully enjoy this, and we'll be back in a few minutes with our thoughts.
And kudos to Drew, who's been filming and editing these things by himself. Yay!
I did, and I'll be doing this one too. So hopefully we can get this one turned around and up pretty quickly too.
I'm excited. All right, we'll see you in a few minutes.
We'll see you in a few minutes. Well, that was a bit intense.
Oh my God. I couldn't help it. I kept turning my head. Yep. I kept hiding. I kept telling you, like, don't look. I don't know why I was telling you don't look. I was feeling very protective of you.
No, like you were right. Like, and again, like after that first kill, which was spoiled for me by the review I read, it was clear to me I was going to need to be covering my eyes a lot, because I read that the first death is really gruesome, and boy, is it ever gruesome. And that repeats
Yeah.
throughout the film. It was a nasty, brutal little movie, which I kind of expected, but it was a little more intense than I expected it to be.
I want to look up to see if it was a fully CGI chimp or if it was also partially practical effects with like puppeteering.
I read it was a combination, a lot of practical effects.
So it did come across to me very realistic. Like you think of like Planet of the Apes, all those movies were all fully CGI.
Yeah.
And I felt that the actors were reacting as if there was actually something there. So I was like, either they are doing a mix or the actors are actually really good at pretending something's there.
Or maybe they had like a little person in a suit or something.
Well, I just remember with Ochi, they had like 6 people controlling Ochi.
Yeah, and then they just CGI'd the people who were controlling it out.
Yeah,
so movies are crazy, the amount of things that they can do these
days.
So I will say that I did hear that this movie kind of doesn't really have a story, and I don't entirely disagree. It's basically just rabid chimp dismantles a bunch of people. But
yeah, and I was really confused in the beginning because to me it was very obvious, even from the trailer, that we were dealing with rabies, and I couldn't understand why the characters weren't considering this. But not being American, we didn't know that there's no rabies in Hawaii and that they don't vaccinate for rabies in Hawaii. So in Canada, like every animal is vaccinated, and then if an animal is even like a wild animal is in care at like a wildlife facility and it's going to be released, they get vaccinated. And we can't own exotic animals. But I kept watching it at the beginning and I was like, well, if they're smart enough to like study language and have this chimp and teach it, why wouldn't they have it vaccinated for rabies?
And they know it's been bitten by something. Why? I was thinking the same thing, but the movie does actually, and we Googled this afterwards, Hawaii does not have rabies. So it's not just like a wild suspend your disbelief. There's a reason why these characters would not have instantly in their minds gone.
I just feel that a big criticism for me is they should have explained it earlier on. We don't get the explanation until like almost a third into the movie. And so it took me out of it in the beginning because I was like, this is just really stupid premise. Like, why wouldn't they do something? And even the vet, like there's 2 vets, there's a person vet and then there's a vet on the phone.
Yeah.
And they're all very dismissive and like, oh yeah, it's not that. I'm like, what do you mean it's not that? That should be the first thing you check.
Yeah, but we're East Coast Canadians. Rabies is a going concern for us.
Yeah.
So that would be my instant thought, and I'm sure yours too if there was a sick animal nearby.
Let's say in theory that we could have a chimp in Canada. It would be required to have all its vaccinations. So something like this wouldn't happen, right? So for me, because they didn't explain that until later in, and I'm not even sure that a lot of Americans know this about Hawaii. Maybe if you've traveled there, you know it because they quarantine pets and stuff when they come in. They're very, very strict about it. But I don't know, maybe Americans don't know this. I'm sure Europeans don't know this and stuff. Like, yeah,
it didn't take me out of it. But again, like the review that I read specifically said rabies. Yeah. So for me, I was like, okay, I already kind of know during the opening scene before they explain things. I was like, I already know what this is. But yeah, for you who hadn't read that review, I can see why you would have been sitting there being like, why aren't they explaining anything yet?
Yeah, it was just annoying me for the first third, you know? And then it kind of, to me, because I didn't have that information, it felt a little dumb in the beginning because every decision felt dumb because of that. Yeah. I was like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? A couple of times I actually said it in the theater. I'm like, why?
Yeah. But I mean, some of the sillier character choices I can kind of see, like in the stress of the moment, why you would like in the panic, like drop something or not go for something or do something stupid. But there were a couple of characters that are literally just there to die.
They're fodder.
It reminded me of it reminded me of Friday, like the schlock your Friday the 13th sequels, in the sense of here's a character that you know is just here to die. But yeah, I enjoyed having some fodder for the violent scenes that weren't characters that the movie makes you care about. Not that there's a great deal of character development, but I found that I didn't really want to see these main characters die necessarily.
I'm looking up the actor's name, the deaf actor, since I actually have my phone while we're doing a review for a change.
Yeah, I saw his name in the end credits and I've already forgotten it. But he was nominated great for an Oscar in Coda, which was that movie about like deaf parents and that sort of thing. And he was great. I enjoyed the use of sign language in this film. It looked authentic.
Troy Koster.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So yeah, you brought up the thing about the sign language. It did remind me a bit of A Quiet Place in a good way. It didn't feel like it was copying it or stealing from it. It actually felt like it was using, like, borrowing elements and doing its own thing with it.
Yeah, what I really appreciated is when his character is the focus, all of the audio in the movie completely drops away. And also, we had a very well-behaved audience
Thank
at
God.
this premiere. And you could really tell because when he's on screen and all of the sound drops out, you couldn't hear anyone say a word. I was like, thank you, audience, for being good. It's really hit or miss for these types of films, what kind of audience
it really is. And I felt that it was a very good technical movie.
Yes.
I felt the shots were done very well. I thought the setting and the framing of things was done really well. And there would be periods of quiet to emphasize, we're sneaking around the house trying to escape this animal, and then like an alarm goes off or the TV comes on, and it would make you jump. So I felt that they balanced that very well. I really feel like films in the past few years have stepped up with their audio mixing and really are viewing it as an art now.
Yeah.
And actually, I do think a bit of that can be credited to A Quiet Place, and also the other film about World War II from years ago that had it won all the Oscars.
Dunkirk?
No, it wasn't Dunkirk. No. It was about Nazis and being next to a Nazi camp, but you never actually saw the Nazi camp, right?
What was that called?
Right, and it won awards.
I'll put the poster up here
so it won for sound, and the sound itself was almost its own movie, right? And there's a massive and amazing documentary about how they did the sound. So like I feel like between that and A Quiet Place, sound has very much been elevated, and audiences do not have patience anymore for bad sound mixing. Christopher Nolan has been called out a few times for bad sound mixing.
Oh my God, when I saw Tenet with my partner, I could barely make out any of the dialogue. I was like, am I going deaf? What the heck is going on? But no, it was a common complaint. It was badly mixed. You could not hear the dialogue. So
see, I watched it at home and had no issue because they fixed it by then. But I found with Dune, the first Dune was so hard for me that I almost considered getting one of the closed captioning machines.
The little closed captioning
for the
things you clip
Dune.
on the seat and in front of you.
I just found it like it was very hard to pay attention because it was so bad. So you go from these amazing blockbusters with terrible sound to these smaller films like Primate, which are like they've put in all this effort, and I think it pays off. Like it's very good.
As a creature focused horror film, I was very impressed with that. It was super tense. Again, I had my hands at the ready to cover my eyes like for most of the movie when I could tell that something was about to happen. I can't believe that was directed by the same director who did Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, because I thought that film, I'm a huge Resident Evil video game fan. I thought that movie was tensionless, scareless. It was stupid. I felt like it had wasted my time at the end. And I'm a fan of the series.
You took me to see that.
Yes, and now you're never going to see a Resident Evil movie with me again.
Well, no, it wasn't even that I thought it was bad. I just found it very generic.
Yeah.
And I almost wonder if it was like the studio and editing and stuff. Like it didn't have very good editing, and I think the studio had too much control.
I think it had to be, because the director has now redeemed himself to me with that. That was like a scary, nasty, gory little thrill ride, and I really quite enjoyed it.
These video game adaptations, I find what they need to do is cater to the video game fans, not cater to a wider audience. And I know they're trying to make their budget back and stuff, so that's why they're trying to cater to a wider audience. But it's the same thing with niche horror. You're trying to do too many things, and it just flops. So focus on the diehard fans and give them what they want, which I think Primate does.
Yes.
If you're a fan of those kind of slashers, I gotta be honest with you, Drew, I feel like our ratings are going to be very polarized.
I think they might be, but
I'm not necessarily saying it's a bad film.
No.
I can't honestly say I super enjoyed it. Like I found it, and it may just be the current climate of everything going on in life, but I found it a very unpleasantly stressful watch, not like a fun, stressful watch. I think if maybe there was a bit more humor to lighten some of the tension, and if some of the kills were a bit funnier, I would have been able to like chill a bit.
Those fodder characters brought a little bit of it into it, but no, I can totally see where you're coming from. I thought the performances though were largely good, but again, not a lot of character development. I don't know, looking back, that I can tell you any character's name.
Lucy. That's all I can remember.
Yeah, Lucy.
Because he kept pressing the thing saying, Lucy bad, Lucy bad, Lucy bad.
Yeah, and Ben, the chimp. But again, like the other characters, I can't name them. That's not to say I particularly enjoyed watching some of the deaths, because they're not characters. It's not like Friday the 13th where the characters are intentionally made to be detestable. So when Jason goes at them, you're like, woo, it's fun. Like I found the kills not exactly joyful.
No, and I also found them almost a bit meaningless. Like when a lot of people die in this film, and right away they don't really like and I get it, like they don't have time to react because they're stressed. But I think about these other horror movies with big ensemble casts where a lot of people are dying, like the original Scream films, a lot of people are dying. Like you're very upset for a lot of those characters, and even if you're not invested in that character dying, the characters around them are invested.
So take Drew Barrymore's character in Scream 1. She dies in the first scene. You don't know anything about this girl before her character is off, but the movie deals with the fallout and the people who knew her and reacting to that. I agree. Some of the deaths, it's like these people are supposed to be lifelong friends, and there's like a moment of sadness, but then they kind of move on. And I get that they're in survival mode, but I could have used a little bit more of an emotional response. And then a bit of a more emotional response to the fact that this is a family pet that they've known for years.
That was the other point I was going to make is that I think they could have, it was a shorter movie. I think it was only an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I think they could have done with a couple of early scenes, even a montage showing the family growing up with the chimp. Make it look like it's family videos or something. They all have this bond, because right away it just jumps into it. And the chimp is just, he's a member of the family, but he's almost background at first. Like he's just there and nobody seems to be like, oh yeah, so hey, we have a chimp for a family member. You know what I mean? And like this one character who's like, what the hell is going on? You have a chimp in your house. Like that's how I was feeling. I was like, why are you guys just being like, are you doing it on purpose? Like, are you trolling her? And that's why you're being chill about it? Like,
yeah, and I just keep trying to think, what if that was me? What if my family had a chimp that they brought in, that they were teaching language to, that I knew for years, that I'm bringing presents to when I come to visit? I feel like I would go on a more emotional journey when the animal starts to go bad, but there's not as much emotional resonance with the fact that this is a pet. In some ways, it almost by the end kind of feels like just a random animal has gone.
It does. And Drew made a point about Cujo, and like I feel like they did lean the Cujo way a bit. They didn't really make a suggestion that it was supernatural, but the depiction of rabies wasn't accurate. So they make, there's scenes where they make it look like the chimp is laughing after he's harmed people and that he's planning out these complex kills and he's being evil. And I'm like, that's not rabies though. Like, why don't you just make him possessed by the devil or something? Like, I don't know. Like, it's just like rabies is very terrifying and it just wasn't rabies.
Yeah.
So
didn't you say the movie got a radical rewrite towards like the very end of it? So I wonder if maybe it was a demon possession thing, and then because there's been so many of those recently, that they decided to not go with that angle.
Yeah, so I was Googling it in the movie theater, literally just to see if there was a post-credit scene, because that has now become so common, or even just, the fun, like, Easter egg credit scene.
There's not.
And it did say that it had a radical rewrite, but I didn't get to read the article yet. And it's probably good, because I don't want to spoil you.
No,
and
we're not going to tell you anything.
I'm sure other creators will make videos about that. Like, it was, I don't know, like, I found there was a lot of stuff that kept me wanting more. And then the stuff that I usually enjoy from this horror film, like, yes, it had great effects. The kills were like really interesting kills, if you can label them that. But I needed a breather between some of the shocks just in order for them to even be impactful. Like,
yeah, a couple of times it cuts away from the house to other locations and other characters, but those scenes are really super quick and it doesn't give you the breather. I agree. I could have used a little bit of time to just come down from it. It was just like go, go, go with very little breaks as soon as the bad stuff starts.
And I've been in movies that are go, go, go. They just did it better, I think. So like, I'm not trying to be negative. Like I said, I still think it's a very technically well-made film. And I think it is going to find its audience. I do think a lot of horror fans are going to like it, especially if you're a fan of like the slasher style. It's definitely better than stuff like Until Dawn. It just, I didn't enjoy it. That's all.
Okay. So let's do your ratings first then. What would your rating of that be?
I'm giving it a 6, which I feel is generous. I would probably give it a 5 if not for how well done I thought the technical aspects were. And also credit to that main actor. Everyone else was forgettable for me. They weren't bad actors, but they were generic. It felt very generic. And I mean, that's part of the script. They didn't really get an opportunity to shine. Everybody felt like a freaking NPC in this. They felt like an NPC. Like I didn't even believe the sisters were sisters. Like they just, like, I didn't feel that they had a good, I've seen worse films that at least had better character. And I didn't really feel it had much of a plot. like, you know, Heart Eyes is a good slasher one that had ridiculousness. And I think I liked it more than this because it had lots of intense scenes. It had lots of thrilling stuff. It balanced a bit of comedy and you had enough space in between the ridiculous kills. It had some NPC kills, but then it had some main character kills. It just balanced it well and better, like more well-known actors who are a bit more experienced. So like Heart Eyes, I don't know what I rated it, but to me, that's a bit higher than Primate.
We didn't do a video because we hadn't started the channel yet, but I remember you rather liked Heart Eyes, and I thought it was pretty good too. It wasn't on my top 10.
No, me either. But I just feel like it's a good example of a similar formula, and it just came across better to me. Same with the Thanksgiving one.
Yes,
like it was campy. The kills were ridiculous. There was a lot of gore. It was a lot of keep going. Eli Roth, right? It's Eli Roth. But
I feel like Thanksgiving developed its characters better than that, though.
Thanksgiving, this ridiculous Eli Roth thing. Like, I still remember the characters. I know that it's McDreamy from Grey's Anatomy. Yeah. You know what I mean? The Boston accents were hilarious. I still remember the poor woman that he did up like a turkey. Yeah. Like, you know, so like it was, that has been it's almost been 2 years since we've seen that film. And I can remember those characters better than these guys.
And I still am waiting for the sequel. Give us the sequel, Eli Roth. So
6 for me, 6 out of 10.
6 for you. Okay. I'm going to give it 2 ratings. So as a horror fiend, I'm going to rate it first as a horror film. So as a horror film, I would give it an 8 just because it is super tense. You don't exactly know what's going to happen. Stuff happens really quickly and you don't really have a chance to like cover your eyes before it happens. The gore is excellent. Some of the kills are really nasty. There's a palpable sense of tension that goes through it, but it also falls into the bad trend of horror movies not developing its characters enough to really make you care. When the bad stuff happens, and I want to feel something. So as a horror film, I'm going to give it an 8. But as purely as a movie and reviewing it as a critic, I am also at a 6.
Yeah,
just because like in the beginning when they were like doing a little bit of character development, I was like, oh, okay, I've seen this character before. Oh, I know that person's going to be interested in that person, and this conflict is going to develop, and it does, and it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter
because once the kills start, it doesn't really matter who these people are. Really,
it doesn't matter. No,
so.
And because of that, it felt a little bit torture porny to me. Like I know that the monkey's not technically torturing them, but it just reminded me of like, you know, some of the criticisms of Game of Thrones was that it was just like, oh my God, like, okay, we get it. Or some of the weaker episodes of Walking Dead when people started leaving that franchise, they were like, it just feels like violence for the sake of violence, which you can still balance. Eli Roth, perfect example, right? Like it doesn't have to be this over-the-top graphic constant. Yeah. But maybe they wanted to show off their practical effects skills because they were very good.
Yes, it was good gore, and it's not like when I say that it's brutal, like to our audience, it's not Terrifier 2. It's not that level of grotesque, but it might be a bit more grotesque than you're used to,
or that you're expecting for this kind of a movie. I will say though, I wasn't sure if you realized this, or maybe some people in the audience watching, but chimps really are that strong and dangerous.
Oh yes,
they really are. One chimp can take down multiple people. They have. You know, the documentaries that are out there, the one about the woman on HBO, the chimp crazy lady, like it's really scary shit, and they can be like that. So I do buy it as a horror villain. I do wonder what animal rights folks are going to think about it.
Oh yeah, trigger warning. There is some animal violence in this, which is to be expected. It's a crazy chimp with rabies attacking people, but if you're sensitive to animal violence, there is that. So be cautious.
Yeah, there's also a couple more movies coming out this year that are kind of following the same formula. There's a killer whale movie, and if you look at it's called Killer Whale, and if you look at the trailer, it looks so bad.
I don't do marine violence. You know, that's the main reason I will not watch The Boys, because I don't like what they do with marine life in that show.
It just looks really bad, and I just feel like, I know there's a couple other ones too, and I'm just like, okay, this is going to be a theme in 2026. Like animal violence is like back on. I feel like this one could have done better if they went the Cujo route. I think the rabies thing, I feel like they were trying to use it as an interesting angle, because, oh yeah, nobody will see this coming because there's no rabies in Hawaii. Like that only really works if that's super common knowledge. Can some of our American audience weigh in on that? Is it common knowledge? Because I can guarantee you, if I go ask our other Canadian peers, unless they've actually traveled to Hawaii and found this out, I doubt any of our peers know this. But let us know in the comments. What do you think?
We know it now.
We know it now. It's very interesting.
So go to Hawaii if you don't want to get
Good
rabies.
job, Hawaii.
Yeah. So that's our review of Primate. I don't think we're going to discuss what we are going to see because we just did that at the end of our housemaid video. If you want to know what we've got coming up, you can go to the end of that review. We've got a couple of things coming up. But this is, to me, not a bad way to start the year. January is kind of a dumping ground for films. And as far as the first horror film of the year, I got kind of what I was expecting.
One movie I will mention because the trailer only just dropped. A24 is putting out this film called Undertone, and it is about basically a haunted podcast, which I think may actually be based on a podcast. I have to look into it. I really like the actors in it. I think the trailer is very interesting. And again, it seems like one of these things where a lot of work went into the audio. And I think that's going to make it scary. So that's an interesting trailer. Check it out. Not that we're trying to be a horror channel. It just happens to be a preference. So
yeah, but we did Song Sung Blue and you guys really liked it. So maybe we'll do some more dramas and comedies.
It's wild to me. I just want to say one other thing. I have another channel for my mermaid work and I have over 700,000 subscribers. That video on our channel with 74 subscribers is doing better than my most recent video on my channel where I have 700,000. Like, that's insane to me. So that's great. I hope we haven't scared you all off.
It's not all going to be super gory horror films. If you're new to the channel because of Song Sung Blue, stick around. This is not the only kind of film that we see. So
yeah. So thank you guys so much. Please like and subscribe. Really love hearing from you in the comments. We have a few dedicated people who always comment. We got some new people commenting with Song Sung Blue. We really do want to hear what you think because it gives us good talking points when we see the films. Hopefully I don't have to apologize more for spoilers. Yeah, really sorry about that. All right, we'll see you at the movies, folks.
We'll see you at the movies. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Instant Movie Reviews with Raina. I'm pointing to me. Let's do that again.
Drew's first.
My first blooper.
Your first blooper.
I'm Raina. She's Drew. Yeah, okay. I'll put that at the end of the video.
I mean, Drew could be a female name.
Yeah, it could.
And
Drew
Rain
Barrymore.
Maida. I'm wearing OP.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well,
all right. Scene and 3, 2, 1. Oh, and we're recording.
Oh, we are.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Test.
Test.
I just don't know what this message is that's up there. Can't read it because it's backwards.
Zoom. Slider added.
Okay.
Well, hopefully that's not a problem.
It's a smooth zoom, baby.
It's a smooth slider.
You're gonna have so many outtakes.